Hello and welcome to 2022. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I can't believe I've not been fishing since I think it was last September. So yeah, I've just done a separate video, so you might have seen that already, as to reasons why I've not been fishing. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. Really pleased to be back on the bank. It's early March and I'm on my Syndicate. It's not really been getting fished much over the winter. I'd say there's probably only been a handful of people have done a couple of sessions on. There's not actually been a carp out of the lake, I think, if I'm correct, since about October. Late October or early November. There's not been a carp out at all over the winter. There's been one or two bream caught whenever anyone has been on the lake. So yeah, but it's at that time of the year now where they should start getting more active. I've not seen any, which is difficult. It's difficult. I won't use the word disappointing, but it is always nice to see them, because then you know, obviously, that they're active. Obviously they give the location away, but yeah, it's one of them. If you don't see anything, you've just got to go on previous experience as to where you've seen them before, where you think they might be. But it might also mean that they're not really active, which is why they're not showing themselves and, you know, trying to get rid of any parasites or anything. They might still be a bit dormant. So we'll see, but you can only try. So I arrived, it's Thursday morning now. I arrived yesterday afternoon, well, yesterday midday. I was fishing by about 2 o'clock. Had a good walk around the lake. Obviously didn't see any carp. Yeah, I had nothing to go on really. But like I mentioned before, my last session on here, I was using chod rigs. I was fishing in areas where I've seen carp, but it's quite weedy, so I've carried on with that tactic this session, and I'm not putting any bait out whatsoever. I'm just using single hook baits. And yeah, I'm just going to try and nab a bite. You know, I think if I put any bait in, I think it'll just kill it, because I don't think that they're on the feed yet. So it's all I can do. You know, if fish singles, increases chances of getting one bite. All I'm after is one bite. Just one fish at this time of year, and I'm happy, you know. So yeah, I'm not putting any bait in. I am coming back next week on Monday for 24 hour. So we'll see what happens. There's someone on this peg over the weekend, so you know, hopefully they'll get something out as well. But yeah, I'll gauge what happens between now and next week as to how I'll approach next week's session. It'll either be carrying on with chods over the weed, but if I don't think they're in the area, then obviously I'll probably go back to using solid bags and maybe just cast around every few hours and just try and locate them. So I'm on the same peg that I was on the last session I was on here last year, where I managed to land the 18#8 common. It is a good peg. Does get fished quite often, and like I've said previously, this was the originally when the Syndicate opened, this was like the hot peg. A lot of the fish were coming out on this part of the lake. My favourite is actually the one over the other side of the lake. I'd probably say that peg's my favourite, which has got the steps leading down to it, which I've caught off before. That is a real nice peg, but because I'd sprained my ankle, it was a really bad sprain, it's still not 100%. I didn't want to risk causing any further injury to myself running down the steps in the middle of the night if I got a take. So I thought I'd be sensible and fish off the comfort of the peg that this provides. Straight out your bivvy into your rods. So yeah, went with a sensible approach. But if it wasn't for my my foot not being 100%, I'd have fished over the far side of the lake. I just seem to have a soft spot for that peg. So yeah, gone with chods on all 3 rods, and to be honest, I've left them out since I cast them out at 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning now, so it is coming towards the end of what I would normally call bite time. So I'm gonna have another coffee, and then all 3 rods are coming in, and then I'll be recasting them. But to be honest, there's not a lot I can do. I'm casting them in areas known to me where the carp normally spend time, but obviously I don't know if they're in them areas at this time of year, but they were spending the majority of their time in them in the summertime last year. So maybe they are out in the middle in the deeper water, but I'm not trying that this session. So yeah, they're all 3 are on chods, and yeah, we'll just see what happens. You can only try. I'm back on Monday, like I mentioned previously, so depending what happens in this next 24 hours, I might go with a different tactic when I come back on Monday. I might switch to solid bags and just cast around every few hours and just try and locate them. Sounds like a plan. But yeah, I'm going to stay positive and try and stay active and keep looking, see if I can see any signs of fish anywhere. So I'll just run through the chod system that I'm using. So for anyone who's not used chods before, the whole idea is that you're able to fish over weed or silt, and the lead that you're using, you can adjust for how far that lead is from your hook length. So if you know that the weed can sometimes be 2 or 3 foot off the bottom, then you really want to have that 2 or 3 foot from the lead, so the lead can hit the bottom of the lake and find its way through all the weed, and your pop-up should just sit nicely on top of the weed. So I'm using a naked chod system, so 23-pound Exocet main line, and then you get to a top bead which is able to come off in case the line breaks and the fish, you know, it can detach itself from your main line and from the lead, which is obviously very important for the fish safety. So ensure that that top bead is still relatively loose and it can easily come off, which the quarter ones can, which is why I use them. You then have a bottom bead which just slides along the main line, and you can have that whatever distance you want. And then I have a short 2-inch stiff hook length. There's a size 6 microbarbed hook with a Baitworks sent from hell boilie on that one, and that's it. It's a pretty simple system, just going down to a 4-ounce lead. That lead is able to detach if I get caught up in weed or anything like that. So yeah, pretty simple, and it works. That hook length has been steamed into that shape, and it just enables a better hook hold. So that's it. So I'll use a different flavoured and coloured boilie, pop-up on each rod, and then if one goes, then quite often I'll change them all over to that one. But yeah, you've just got to try different things and see what works. So in the past I've previously done well off pink pop-ups on here, but I'm sure location's more important. But yeah, that's that. Right then, so we're back at the lake. So yeah, you won't be surprised to know that I blanked on my 48-hour session, which was Wednesday to Friday. It is what it is, but you've got to try. You've got to put the time on the bank to get these fish out, and you've got to just keep the faith, stay positive, and you know, just trust in what you know, and don't ever doubt yourself. There's nothing you can sometimes do to change how things are. You know, it is what it is. If the fish don't want to feed, they don't want to feed, or if they're not in your area, they're not in your area. You know. So yeah, I'm back. It's the following Monday. So there was 3 people fishing over the weekend, and 1 person caught one, which was great news. So yeah, a friend of mine caught one from over the other side of the lake, which is the, just had a little bleep. Yeah, so a friend of mine caught one from the other side of the lake, so really pleased for him. And he got one of the new ones that was stocked last October. We stocked 6 C6s. I think they went from about £18 to £22, and he caught the one which went in at 22, and it came in, well, it came out a couple of ounces short of what it went in at, but we can't really complain with that with the winter. So yeah, it came out at 21.15, I think it was. So yeah, really pleased for him, and it's a good sign. Shows that they are slowly starting to get more active, get on the feed a bit. And he was able to look at his spots where he'd pre-baited the week before and they were clean. So yeah, so it's good to know that they have been on the feed. So yeah, interesting times. So I'm back on the peg that I was on last week, fishing in clean spots where I know that there's no weeds. So I've got on 2 of my rods I've got solid bags, and on the other one I've just got a lead clip with just a normal knotless knot hair rig with a rafter on. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. I'm only here for less than 24 hours. I was fishing by lunchtime today, and I will be off in the morning, probably about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. You're not going to catch them at home, are you? So yeah, we'll see what happens. Nothing else really to report on. I'm not seeing anything. So the lad who caught one on Friday night, he caught it within a few hours of casting out, but it was on a spot where he'd pre-baited, like I mentioned. There was another 2 lads on who were on this bank, so there was a guy on this peg and one next door, and obviously they're both blanked. So yeah, you know, it is what it is. It's this tricky time of year, but I'm going to enjoy myself anyway. So I'll have a cup of tea, just watch the water, relax, and what'll be will be. So on this session I've gone with 2 solid bags, which are just over there to the left of me in a relatively clear area of the lake. And seeing as I've got the lake to myself again, on the swim next to me there's just a bar out in front. So I'm on the end of that bar, and it's nice and clear, so I've just got a normal lead clip with a flat pear lead, so that the lead doesn't fall off the side of the bar. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. So this is the solid bag rig that I use. Nothing complicated, nice and easy. Just a small 3-inch, maybe 3.5 inch, just a supple braid down to a size 6 hook. So this is just my normal solid bag. Just use the Fox Rapide loading system, makes it nice and easy. And then just got a mixture of micro pellet and some other bits and pieces in there. So yeah, nice and simple, but it works. So the temperature's dropped a bit in the last couple of hours, so I put my tracker winter suit on. First time I've put it on since last winter, and yeah, it's really good. Just warms you up instantly. I'm actually too warm, which is why I'm sat outside the bivvy now. So if anyone's ever feeling the cold when you're fishing, you're not prepared clothing wise, I can highly recommend this tracker winter suit. It didn't cost that much either when I got it, so well worth it. So I thought I'd explain my reasons why I'm fishing, why I am like this session, and why I sometimes fish differently, like depending on what rig, etc. And the truth is, it all depends where I'm planning on fishing. So obviously, let's just stick to this lake. There's different areas of the lake with, there's some areas with substantial amount of weed, but it tends to attract carp. And then there's other areas which have got bits of weed, and then there's areas with no weed. So when deciding how I'm going to fish, I decide on the area I'm going to put a particular rod. So for instance, last session I was fishing in a different area, although I was on the same peg as this one, a slightly different area over more weed, which is where I'd seen fish during the summer months. And that was only because I hadn't seen any fish, so I just had to go on previous experience of sightings of last year. But I do know of a clear area, which is what I've decided to put one rod on. It's not 100% clear, so what I've gone with is a solid bag on that, and that just gives you added security that if you've landed on a bit of weed, then your hook point and your bait is still presented, because it's only going to be a small amount of weed on the bottom. Where last week I was using chods, and that was because I knew I was fishing over quite dense weed. Could have been 2 foot off the bottom, even 3 foot off the bottom. So I wanted to just make sure that rig was presenting properly. And then my right hand rod, which I'm fishing on top of this bar, nice clear bar, clean as a whistle. So I've gone with a normal lead clip, which is my preferred option. For if I know that the bottom's clean, I will always use a lead clip system, and usually just a normal hair rig, and usually a wafter, or even a bottom bait boilie. So yeah, so that was my reasons for fishing how I am. So yeah, it all depends on where I'm planning on casting to, in a nutshell. Chods are perfect for fishing over dense weed, but they are known to not be so effective when it comes to like the hook hold, and people talk about losing a few. So I'll only use a chod if I'm planning on fishing over weed, because that's where I've seen fish. So come the summer, if I know that the fish are over the weed, I'll put a chod out, not a problem. It's not my go-to method though. I do like using solid bags, because it just gives you that added security that you have landed on over a little bit of weed, even if you thought you were in a clear area. So 9 times out of 10 I would normally use a solid bag. I love solid bags. I started using them a few years ago, and started using them on a local day ticket venue called Tees Valley Lakes, and a lot of people were struggling on there, and I just carried on using solid bags, and I was getting them out, and at times when no one else was. So they can be really effective. And I also think it just depends what you put in the solid bag as well. I always make sure it's something as small as possible. So either boilie crumb or micro pellets. And yeah, I just think if a carp approaches it, it just looks like an easy meal. With it being either micro pellets or boilie crumb, it just looks like it doesn't even have to chew, it just inhales it. So yeah, I think that's why they work so well. So yeah, and then my reason for using a normal hair rig on the bar is I know it's totally clear, because you can see the bar until it goes maybe about 6 to 8 feet out. You can see how clear it is. You get a good drop when you cast on it, and I wanted to use a flat pair lead, just so that it will sit and hook the bar rather than fall down it or roll down it. Where if I'd have cast a solid bag onto it, there's always that chance that the bag would have rolled down it before it had a chance to dissolve. So that's my reason. And yeah, I've just gone with a very potent wafter on that one, just as a single, nothing else with it, and just hope that that high visual and that smell of that pineapple is enough to get a bite on that one. And then yeah, the other two I've just gone with a normal fish meal wafter, just to sort of match the pellet smell, so that the fish probably won't even see the wafter. It's just buried inside the pellet and it just inhales it in a wanna, thinking it's just getting a mouthful of pellet, but then there's a fish meal wafter in there. So that's the idea behind it. And yeah, I'm doing all I can really. You know, my mindset doesn't change no matter how hard things get. You know, a few years ago, if I'd have had 2 blanks in a row, I'd have been really considering what I'm doing wrong, or you know, really having to give things some thought. But now I just know that it's up to the fish. You know, we can only do so much. We're fishing as effectively as possible. So yeah, it's down to the fish now whether or not they want to feed and whether or not they're in the area. So yeah, you just need a bit of luck on your side now. But I'm really enjoying just being by the lake. It's just nice to relax and yeah, listen to the birds and yeah, just enjoy being here. Like I've said before, I'm like a broken record. It's not about bringing in the fish for me. There's many other places in this area where I could go if I wanted to just catch fish, but to me there's a lot more to carp fishing than just reeling in fish, you know. And it makes it more rewarding for myself, knowing that it's a challenge, knowing that it's a low stock venue. When you do get one, you're just absolutely over the moon. You know, it's a good feeling. So yeah, I'm waffling a bit, so I'll sign off now. So we're into the last morning now. Unfortunately, it was a very quiet night. It's just one of them things. It's a difficult time of year, March. You're just waking up slowly. So it's middle of March now. Next time I'm on here should be the end of April, and by then I'd like to see quite a change in fish activity. Hopefully they're feeding more, starting to show more, and just increasing your chances of getting one on the bank. But I've enjoyed my time here. It's been really relaxing and just enjoyed being at the lake. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.